Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. It's looking like a good day. I'm gonna be honest with you. If you could, please, that's not turned on. There we go. Um, if you can hear me, please pop a one or something in the chat just to make sure that I know that you guys can hear me and the mic's working and all that kind of stuff. But Leeds United have finally done a thing, or at least have finally done a thing in public, specifically with the announcement that, if I press the right button, there we go, you cheeky bastard, Orange Raider. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has completed a move to Leeds United. Now, this is one that we knew was on the way, but we didn't quite know all of the specifics about yet. So in this quick little stream, I'm going to talk about the specifics. I'm going to keep a little bit of an eye on various other bits of news that are happening left, right, and centre, and sort of keep everyone up to date on what's going on. So, joins the club after departing on a free, expiration of contract, all that kind of stuff. This much we knew. We did not know the length of the deal, which has turned out to be a 3-year deal committing his future at Elland Road until 2028. Arrives with experience, all this kind of stuff, and you got the standard sort of like glazing of a player kind of thing. Hopped into the national team, called up for the run to the Euro 2020 final, young age groups, etc., etc. Becomes the 8th summer signing for Daniel Farke's side. This kind of stuff is the generic stuff. This is the stuff that we were already aware of, that we knew that we weren't really going to be super excited by. However, I think there's a little bit more conversation to be had around it, because in addition to that, I've heard from someone who tends to know a lot of things, that effectively it turns out Leeds had registered him in time to play against Everton, because the deadline was yesterday. He did the early chunks of medical yesterday and finished off his medical today, I think, was the way around that it went. But in essence, that sort of is interesting because it shows that we were happy to register him early, and then if that didn't pay off, then we could presumably unregister him, because I know that that is a thing that you can do. He doesn't have to be in your final squad list when it comes to the start of the season. But it was a case of before the medical is 100% done, make sure he's in the door and is available, which is a pretty damn clever thing to do, and I'm very, very happy that Leeds have done that because it makes sure that we have that little bit more depth in terms of the number 9 ahead of Monday's match. Because in the 9, I think we've got a decent bit of strength at the moment. I still would maybe like another one, but Daniel Farke's press conference earlier also somewhat persuaded me that that might not necessarily have to be the case. Because he did also point to, well, we've got Gray waiting in the background and we'll see what happens, but I don't like too many players in the squad. Which ain't a bad spot to be in. Like, at the moment, we've got 3 senior strikers and a youth one. That's a reasonable bit of squad depth. And I think adding one more is just to get more of those profiles within the squad, rather than specifically saying, okay, but we need numbers, we're low on numbers, like we are in the fullback position. The fullback is a case of, we will just sign someone that works and that does a job. Whereas if we were to have not done a fullback, I would be significantly more scared right now, because that is a thing that needs to be done. Additionally, I've also seen that Leeds are reportedly on the verge of announcing the Justin thing. There is still discussion around whether or not we have actually signed him, but it's in the sort of potentially personal terms territory as far as I've seen from a couple of folk. Clubs are supposedly in agreement, but again, this is sort of pinch of salt territory, which I'm very much hoping turns out to be accurate, because James Justin coming in would also add that little bit more depth. He definitely won't be available for the Everton match. No matter what, he will not be registered in time because the deadline passed in the past. But I think Calvert-Lewin, on reflection, on the having had more time to think about it, is a better signing than we initially assessed him to be. Initially, everyone was absolutely terrified and going, well, I don't know if he's good enough, and he's consistently injured, and he is consistently injured, but him having passed the medical in the first place is promising to me. Because that sort of says, at the very least, there is a belief that his bits and bobs are holding together enough. And if we have enough of that belief, lovely. Fandabidozy. If that belief didn't exist, then that'd be scary. There was a further bit that we learned from Farke's press conference too, and that was specifically sort of floating and orienting around the attacking areas of the pitch, where he said that, yes, we're still looking for attackers because we need to sort out a fullback, but we also need to have a little bit more strength going forwards, which is wise, because if you don't have that strength going forwards, you get in deep trouble. And thankfully that feels like a thing that we will avoid, because we know we're in lots of different conversations. On that note, there's a reason that I included the Khannouss stuff in the title and in the thumbnail. And that is because there is an ominous silence that has sort of taken over the world, because we know that that clause comes to an end today, which makes things a little bit tricky, I think. And that means that there is going to be a lot of sort of conversation surrounding it. But I don't know which direction he's going to go. And there has just been completely nothing. Like, it's gotten to the point where I was like, you know what I might do? I might try and send Sasha Tavolieri a cheeky little DM and be like, have you heard anything on him? Because it's gone silent. And in all likelihood, it's a case of agents are talking to so many different people right now that they're not able to do leaking to the press, because it's quite hard to leak something to the press if you're a little bit busy in negotiations with someone. That's the rough territory that I think that conversation is in at the moment, which means that if we're going to find anything out about Khannouss, it might be in a little bit of time. It's not going to be that immediate. And I think if we don't hear anything today, I don't necessarily see Khannouss moving this window at all, because any club that thinks, will we maybe want to sign him, will get it done whilst they can do so on a cheaper amount of money, whereas afterwards the price entirely becomes a question of what Leicester want. And Leicester don't want to sell, so they can just set the price wherever they fancy and do whatever they want with him. So I think we're going to see something today, and if we see nothing today, then it'll be a case of wait, and then we will learn a little bit more after the fact. But anyway, let's have a delve into some comments and a little bit of a chat and a little bit of a natter. It's going to be a fairly chill-ish stream, because I gotta be honest with you, it's nice to have a little bit of a chat. I just wanted to do a stream today, and I've got work later because I'm working the Bournemouth-Liverpool match, which should be a bit of a banger. Like, they've both had reasonably okay-ish summers. Admittedly, Bournemouth have been just ripped apart, and I can see Bournemouth getting absolutely pumped. To be completely honest with you, they are in deep shit because they've lost from last season their goalkeeper. They have lost Milos Kerkez. They have lost Hausen. They have lost Sabani. And all of those players going out at the same time screams to me they're going to get rolled over by Liverpool. That is going to be a side that has problems this season. He's going to Palace now. Spurs going in for Eze. The thing is, are Spurs going to get Eze done today? I've not seen anything on it. But I've not seen any actual sources be like, they're going to get it done. Justin, Spurs will try and tie up a deal for both Eze and Savinho in the days ahead, according to Alistair Gold, who is a pretty reasonably good sort of source on Spurs stuff, to ensure a major double dose of quality for the squad and much needed increase in transfer spending to some splashed out by rivals. Admittedly, Spurs have spent very, very little, which puts them in a pretty damn weak situation. The thing is, if they don't get the Eze deal done today, there's a pretty damn good chance that we see that move for Khannouss in our direction, because it makes sense. It makes sense that if Palace are off the table because they've not dropped a player, then it's fine. Spurs were 17th last year, weren't they? They were, yes, but they've done a reasonable bit of stuff over the summer to try and sort of protect themselves and make sure that that doesn't happen again, which would be good. There is also, as far as I've just seen, a flight that looks pretty damn related to the football club that's happening tomorrow. Which I'm going to have to look into. It could be nothing, but I will ask some questions and then see what happens. Ooh, flight session. I don't know if it will be a flight session. It's like 8 AM tomorrow. I don't know if I can be bothered getting up to do that. I might do, but we'll have to see. I'd need a little bit more sort of certainty on it, to be honest with you. Arrivals. Tomorrow. Yeah, it's from London. Which is weird. Why would it be in London? What players do we have an interest in that are down in London? I don't know. You tell me. I'm uncertain. How do you think Taylor Adams will be received when Bournemouth come to visit? I think he will be received horrendously. And that's going to be very funny. And in addition to that, I think he is going to potentially not even be playing, because we know that he's one of the most injury-prone players on the planet, which means that if that turns out in the wrong direction, then it's quite funny, because he's not going to play for them. And I like that, because that's the world that we're living in. God fucking damn it. I've just realised why the stream ain't doing too good, and it's because I'm streaming at exactly the same time as both Wayneman and KG. Which is good. Motherfucker, why didn't I check that before? Because I'm stupid, let's be honest. That's why. Anyway, I'm going to leave this at a relatively short stream, I think. Because I also need to work out what's for food. I need to do some decoration in the nursery, which is just through that wall there. So if you hear any DIY noises, it'll be that. Problem is, 49ers and Leeds have been very silent, so we have no idea on what they are chasing. I have to trust them. Yeah, I think it's probably best to trust and hope that we're heading in the right direction, because we will be. That's 100% my opinion. We'll be going the right way. It's a question of making sure, I think, which is never easy to do. Anyway. Right. I am going to sort food. I'm going to do some DIY. I'm going to potentially stream maybe after work, depending on what time it is and if there's any news. We'll see. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please pop a like on the stream. Subscribe if you haven't yet. It was only a short one. Sorry about that, but... And, yeah. Anyway. See you later, amigos. Ta-ra. Also, I want us to get another signing today. That would be quite nice. Thank you, please.